Hi, this is Sheri Ann Richerson from experimentalhomesteader.com, and today's topic is food preservation methods. Now, as you know, I'm doing a series on different homesteading topics, and this is one of those. So there are a lot of different methods of food preservation. There is canning, dehydration, freezing, which are your most common, but some people preserve food using salts, oils. There are many, many different methods. And the three that I am most familiar with is, of course, canning, dehydrating, and freezing. Now, I have done a little bit of salt preservation. I haven't messed much with oil at all. I've done a little bit of herbs in oil in the freezer, but again, that goes back to freezing. That's not actually using the oil to do the preserving. So we're going to start out with freezing. In order to freeze food, you need to have some actual freezer bags. Now, these are not storage bags. These are freezer bags, or you can use freezer containers. I usually use both. If I'm going to freeze something, say such as spaghetti sauce, that is going to stain my containers, I will put a Ziploc bag, freezer bag down inside of my container and fill it up and seal it, and that way my container stays pretty dry and clean. A book that I found that really helped me expand some of my food preservation freezing methods was this freezer cookbook. Okay, now this is an older book, and I actually found this at the thrift store. And I bought it, and I am amazed at all the different things that she suggests in here. Okay, some of the things that I have personally froze is my goat milk, noodles, bread, dinner rolls, and I did not actually, the bread and the dinner rolls, I didn't actually make them and freeze them. I've done that with store-bought, but the ones that I've made, I found it easier to put all of the ingredients, all the dry ingredients, in a bag and put the instructions in. And then when I brought it out of the freezer, all I had to do was add my moist ingredients and my yeast, and I was ready to go. Super simple. Okay. You can do donuts, cakes, just watch that they don't get dry. Cookies, brownies, fudge, meatloaf. That is a really great one to put in the freezer because you can make it up, have it shaped and formed, and then all you have to do is drop it in your pan and bake it. Okay, you can also do meatballs this way, lasagna, pizza crust. I have done pizza crust a lot, and I find it really easy. I pre-bake it like 10 minutes, and then I go ahead and I freeze it, and I do freeze it on a cardboard, a cake cardboard, because this gives it a little bit more stability in the freezer. Pie crust, you can do the same way. Okay, and I do suggest going ahead and either laying them completely flat and then allowing them to thaw, or putting them in a pan and freezing them. I know most of us use glass pans, so we don't want to do that, but you could. Okay, twice baked potatoes, cinnamon swirls, blueberry muffins, fruit juice popsicles, of course, pudding popsicles, hash browns, potatoes au gratin, although I usually do dehydrate those items instead of freeze them, but you could freeze them. So, I mean, there are just so many different ideas in here. Now, when you freeze items, you need to mark the name of the item and the date that you put it in the freezer, because it's not good forever and ever. Things do go bad in the freezer, and you need to take them out. Another tip that a friend of mine told me was things like raspberries or blueberries, or sometimes your vegetables from your garden. If you're going to can them, but something comes up and you can't right away, if you're going to freeze them for any length of time, you need to blanch them. But if you're just doing a temporary, you can go ahead and put them in the freezer just like they are, and then deal with them when they come back out. I've done this with a few things, not a lot like that, because I just, I think about nutritional value, and I would rather do what I'm going to do the first time around instead of prolonging it. But what I have done in regards to this say I have a few carrots, and oh, maybe I'll have some fresh potatoes, but the carrots are in the freezer. And, maybe I want to make up a stew or something. Some of my stuff is fresh, some of it's frozen. I'll pull it out and mix it together like that, because that's okay. And then I can can that and have my jars of stew just ready to dump in the pot and warm up for those nights when we're really super busy, we're hungry, and we just want something quick to eat. Okay, another method of preserving food is dehydration. Now, I have a lot of dehydrator books, like I have a lot of freezing and canning books. Anything that I can get my hands on when it comes to food preservation, I'm picking up. But this is the book, it's just called How to Dry Foods, that I turn to the most. It's a smaller book, yes, it's not very thick, but it is packed full of most of the information you're going to need. And my food dehydrator, let me see if I can reach over here and grab it for you, because I had intended to show this to you, is rather large. I have added a lot of extra trays to it. I literally burnt up 5 food dehydrators in one summer, just dehydrating my herbs and little bits of fruits or vegetables that I didn't have enough of to can and I didn't want to throw in the freezer, so I just dehydrated them. And then all I had to do was rehydrate when I was ready to use them, and we was good to go. Okay, this is my dehydrator. And as you can see, I chose one when I had to replace those 5 that actually had a temperature dial on it. And I'm liking that a lot better, because I feel like it gives me more opportunity to dehydrate things that might not otherwise work so well. The lid on mine is pretty tall, and inside I have both the netted looking trays. I know that's not what they're called, but I have these, and then I also have the plastic trays like this that you use to make fruit leathers and so on. So even with me having so many trays, like I said, my food dehydrator one is not near enough for me. I always have this full during the gardening season, because I'm always putting different types of fruits, vegetables, you name it, in here. Herbs, I have tons of herbs in my garden, and I could do fruit leathers in here. I can dehydrate eggs, although I have not done that, but I do have the little containers that will go in this if I should want to. I have not dehydrated milk either, because I just freeze it. I feel like that's the safer alternative. And so I have done many things. When I do dehydrate herbs, I do them whole. Don't break them up, because you're going to lose some of your flavor when you do that. So do it whole. When I do peppers, a friend told me that it is best if you actually cut the peppers in half, because sometimes the inside of that pepper does not dry right, even though the outside appears to be dry, and you can get mold inside of those. So I have dehydrated a lot of garlic. I've done hundreds, if not thousands, of pounds of potatoes that I have later rehydrated. Just a dehydrator is an absolute essential to me. I have done dehydrated jerky in there. So absolutely, my dehydrator is a must-have for my kitchen. Okay, the last method that we're going to talk about today is canning. Now, there is both pressure canning and cold pack canning. You need to know the acidity of your food, and you need to know the best method to preserve that food. Okay, now I know our grandparents, great-grandparents did lots of things with just a cold pack canner. If you have that knowledge and you feel safe, then fine. But if you don't, then my suggestion to you is to get yourself a good book. Now, the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving, this is my go-to book. I have a lot of Ball books, but this is the one that I could not live without in my kitchen. We thought we lost this a few weeks ago. I could not find it anywhere, and I said, you know what, I'll be buying another copy, because I have to have this book. This book covers everything you need to know, and There have been so many wonderful recipes that I have found in here that are not in the Ball Blue books. So absolutely, if you're going to do a lot of canning, I highly, highly recommend this book. The other book that I have come across just recently that I really love is by Daisy Luther, and it's called The Organic Canner. Now, I do need to tell you, I was sent this item for free in exchange for my honest review. All opinions are my own. I like this book. So, but this one, for those of us who maybe want to branch out a little and do our own thing, we're already familiar with canning. Okay, good book. All right, now I'm going to show you, I don't have these set up because this is the off season for canning for me. Okay, but this is my pressure canner. Now, when I set this up, this lid does latch on. Okay, did he put it here? Yep. Okay. So I have to make sure that this lid is latched. Okay. And it will snap. Okay. It also has this little jiggler weight that sits on top. It is very, very important if you're going to use a pressure canner that you read and follow all the directions, but do not overfill it. There is a line in here, and I don't know that I can show you this on camera, but I'm going to try. My canner is old, and sometimes I have problems seeing the line myself. Okay. There is a little line right down there by my finger. I don't know if you can see it, but that is all the water that goes in one of these. Do not overfill it. They will explode. I've had it happen twice. Okay. Really be careful when you use one of these. Pay attention and know what you're doing. Okay. This can be a really dangerous method of canning if you're not careful. Okay. The second one, and the one that I'm sure more people are familiar with, is the cold pack canner. Okay, looks like this. And again, mine is very old. I have had it for a number of years, and I have used it. I've actually had some of these that have had holes that have finally appeared in the bottom just from so much use. And we had a disaster in the kitchen because it leaked, and I didn't realize it till my floor and my stove were completely soaked. So do pay attention. Check these things, because if you use your canners a lot like I do, they can have things go wrong with them. With a pressure canner, you need to check the seals. Sometimes local extension agents will do that, sometimes not. So, and another item that I have just come across that I think is really essential. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about this, but I have vacuum sealers. You can use those to put foods in the freezer, but you can also use them with one of these. And if you're wondering what this does, when you open, say, a jar of home canned ketchup, and you're going to use a little bit, but maybe you don't want to use the whole jar up, you can put that band back on, the flat lid piece, not the band, I'm sorry, the lid, the flat piece, and you can set this back over it just like it shows in the picture, and you can use your vacuum sealer to vacuum the air out, and it's going to create a seal with that used lid, okay, just like you had when you initially canned it. Now, it is not safe to consider this canned again, because it is not. It has just sucked the air out, and it's going to help it be good longer in the refrigerator than what it normally might, because your condiments can really go bad within, I'm going to say, a week. Okay. I don't know, I just got this, so I don't know how much longer this will preserve the condiments. But again, if you have a pH meter, you can test that pH when you open it, know what your pH is supposed to be, and then you can test it as you are wanting to use it and find out if the pH is still good and if that food is still safe to eat. So you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but now that I have one, I will be doing a lot of that. And I'm also going to use this to seal my jars that I keep my herbs in, because it's going to keep that flavor in and keep those fresher, and hopefully help to keep some of the moisture out. Now I am using food grade little oxygen absorber packets in mine, just to try to keep some of the moisture and stuff out, and keep my herbs fresher for longer. So basically those are the three main food preservation methods: canning, dehydrating, and freezing. Love to hear your questions and thoughts. Leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and have a great night.